The problem is we go from this little bent wrist here at address, little extension we call that, and we need to flatten it back out by the backswing. That's the hard part. So what we have is a small tool to help us.
Is this little fancy guy? Here we go. Very expensive.
Very expensive. My training aids are usually super high priced, and this one is used. I did have a student ask me that, is this used? I said yes.
Yes, it was.
Little chopstick. See, the wrist set motion is not moving this stick toward me at all. And the whole world is doing it, well, if you suck at golf, you're doing it this way. And if you don't suck at golf, you're doing it this way.
Yeah, what a great visual that is. I want to talk to you today about Live View Golf. Now, you guys hear me say all the time that you need feedback when you're practicing. You need to know if you're actually doing what you're trying to do, and the best way to give yourself feedback ultimately is video. And not only is video the best way to give yourself feedback, but being able to see yourself simultaneously as you're doing a movement is the best form of video feedback. It's the best way I've seen to make changes in your swing and be able to correlate the differences between your feels and your reels. Live View is super easy to use and set up. Simply set it up behind or in front of you. You connect it with your iPad or phone, pop that on the ground. You can actually do your practice, see yourself as you're doing it, the best way to expedite your process. I encourage you guys to check out Live View Golf. We'll put a link in the description down below with a coupon code. All right, guys, Eric here out at the Bethlehem Golf Club. In today's video, we're talking about wrist set, do's and don'ts, really how to set your wrists in the golf swing. As you can see, not out here by myself, this fantastic looking gentleman to my left, Mr. John Dunnigan, professional golf coach, amateur guitar player, amongst many things. If you don't know John, we're gonna link his YouTube channel down below. John's a Golf Digest top 50 coach, Golf Magazine top 100, four-time Philadelphia Section PGA Teacher of the Year. Amongst other things, John was one of the very first people who helped me when I first started coaching, was kind enough to mentor me, help take me under his wing, let me help come and watch lessons. I don't remember that back in the day. So John was very, very kind to me when I first started. I'm pumped to have him here for the next set of videos to help you guys all with your golf game. So Mr. John, welcome. Appreciate you being here. First things first, I want to give you a nice little intro there.
Thanks for having me.
You got it, man, absolutely. So wrist set. So I was watching some of your videos on your channel, and there was like 10 of them, you know, that I loved and that I wanted to talk about and do videos on. And one of the top ones was wrist set. And so I'd like to kind of go through the do's and don'ts of the wrist set, a little bit like we did in the video, to give the people a lesson. If I came in and said, hey, John, I'm having some issues with my wrist or my back, so I don't really know where to start. What am I kind of looking for with my wrist set? Maybe we can switch spaces and we'll go through it a little bit.
So first and foremost, the wrist set can ruin you if you do it wrong. And we see it all the time in lessons. People go back, they think they're setting the wrist when they're actually just twisting the face wide open. We call that clopin. It's so open, it's almost closed. Well, what happens is wrist set is a small motion. It's really small. People are trying to make it really big. Yeah. And then so many people are trying to create this false lag by, instead of setting the wrist, see how small that is? It's like 35, 40 degrees. They take the wrist and bend it. Oh, but look at all the wrist set now. Except now, my club face is hitting my head, and this ball's going fore right. That's false lag. It doesn't work like that at all. So the wrist set motion is much simpler. The problem is we go from this little bent wrist here at address, little extension we call that, and we need to flatten it back out by the backswing. That's the hard part. So what we have is a small tool to help us.
Is this little fancy guy? Here we go. Very expensive.
Very expensive. My training aids are usually super high priced, and this one is used. I did have a student ask me that, is this used? I said yes.
Yes, it was.
Little chopstick. See, the wrist set motion is not moving this stick toward me at all. And the whole world is doing it, well, if you suck at golf, you're doing it this way. And if you don't suck at golf, you're doing it this way.
Yeah. What a great visual that is.
It's just so easy, right? It's so easy, and you can practice it. You can work this motion as we do the push-pull easily. So we keep this baby in here for now. And what happens is my left hand is going to push down on the butt of the club.
Yep.
Okay. Now, what that does is get the left arm to straighten a little bit, which is kind of cool. Not that your left arm has to be real straight. Okay, but straightish.
Straightish.
Fair enough? So the left hand pushes down while the right hand picks the club up. And it ends up looking like this. We'll put our trusty training aid, look at that, $300 right there. See that? That training aid is just sliding on my forearm.
That's awesome.
Is that cool? And that's what happens. Okay, so now when I put both hands in, yes, you do have to adjust your training aid sometimes, folks, I'm sorry. We're going to go back. My left hand is going to push down toward the ground this way, and my right hand is going to pick the club up, and I get my wrist nice and flat. When you bend the wrist this way, look at that club face change. Let's make it a little bit more clear for you. We have a saying, 3 degrees is in the trees. Check this out.
3 degrees is in, I'm learning a lot here.
When I go back and I set my wrist, how much is my face angle changing? You see this baby is not even turning? Look at that. Isn't that fun? Now watch this. I'm going to give you the AM move. Of course, they're putting my daughter through college. Look at the face change by doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Now, if 3 degrees is in the trees, that's 45. And that's why you suck at golf.
45 like in the house or something?
Yeah, that's over that way.
Yeah.
Okay, so we go back, we do our push-pull, and then I want you to check by about left arm parallel to the ground. Check this baby again. Ooh, look, lovely. Check this, back of your hand, it should be quite flat. Up at the top, same check. Oh, it's beautiful. Okay, that is exactly how to set the wrists and not mess up your golf swing.
So that's beautiful. I think that little chopstick piece and the face angle tool, especially put together, creates an unbelievable visual when you're practicing. And so from a feel perspective, which I want to dig into and we'll hit some shots, the piece you mentioned, which is hard, and it's kind of interesting, is when we set up, our left wrist is in that little cup or extension, which is just as a neutral grip. And going from that, I say, well, how much should I flatten my left wrist as I do the hinge? And I think a good stock general answer, which you gave there, would be, we're sort of looking to go from whatever amount of extension we have to there.
Perfect.
Right? Kind of 30, maybe it's 30 or so degrees.
Yep.
With that.
As we're using our right hand to pull up, it's helping that. So the right hand is pulling up, and it's also bending back, called extension.
Yeah.
And that's what actually helps it flatten.
So I don't even need to potentially feel my left wrist do anything.
Yeah. And I would tell you, if you're a normal golfer, though, if you're anywhere normal, don't trust your feel. Your feel sucks.
Yeah, how about it?
Look.
My feels suck a lot of times too. It's like feels
Use
can
your
make you suck in
eyeballs.
general.
Right.
Yeah.
Your eyes won't lie, but your feel will.
Your eyes won't lie, but you feel in video, right?
Yeah. Right.
So, I mean, the amount of one-liners so far, this is unbelievable. So the hinging piece, let's say if we kind of get, for them when they're checking it, at left arm parallel, right, roughly at this particular time, we're saying, hey, the left wrist is relatively flat at that point.
Right.
And then would you look at and say, hey, John, how much should I hinge? How do I know if I've hinged enough?
That's a beautiful question. You don't really want to go much past a 90-degree angle between your left arm and the club shaft, because if you are, and that's probably just under 90, I can't see it.
Yeah.
If you are going this way. Now look at all the wrist that I have.
Right. Yeah.
But look at my club face. It's literally in my ear now.
Clopin.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. You've lost the integrity of the arm structure.
It's so open it's closed almost.
Yeah.
Right? We use the phones, right? Cello.
Yeah, okay.
You got to point your phone away from you.
Yeah, perfect.
Right?
Yeah.
So that would be a great way to check it. And you made another good point. I could go like this and point it down now. And look at that. It's pointing roughly toward the golf ball.
Yeah, I think that's another one that comes up a lot too is, and even though we're talking wrist set in particular, there'll be some questions of, what angle is it set on?
Right.
How much do I set? We can say, okay, how much do I set? Let's call it 90-ish by left arm parallel, give or take a little. And then what angle do we set? Well, a really nice, easy way to look at that, like we were talking, was if we just look at that ball target line, right?
Right.
And if as we're setting that club up to 90, feeling the push down with the left, the pull up with the right, if that butt of the club points pretty close to this line by left arm parallel, you could probably get away with a little outside, maybe inside might be easier for some people, but basically close to that line.
But it's close enough.
It's close enough. And that would put the shaft on the appropriate angle.
Right.
So there we kind of, we get a lot of stuff for free. A lot of good stuff for free.
That checkpoint alone is an awful lot of good stuff for the whole rest of the golf swing. Right? It's as you know, the things people do to undo what they completely screwed up on the backswing are limitless.
How about it?
You get the club face, you set it wrong, you bend the wrist the wrong way, you break your poor training aid in half, and then it's like the entire downswing is trying to overcome that.
You know, it's interesting. I want to hop in and hit some, John, if that's okay. You know what's interesting, too, and I'm sure we both say it all the time, is like, man, a lot of the downswing faults that we see on video and that we would complain about, me included, I mean, gosh, almost always stem from something earlier. Your brain's making up for an earlier issue. It's trying to find a successful way, right, to hit the ball.
Your brain's trying to solve problems.
Trying to solve
There
problems.
are no swing flaws. Those are solutions.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Some people may need a little convincing with that, but I'm with you on that. So as I start to go back, let's say I'm just getting going. I have no sense of wrist set. I'm feeling a little pushing down with the left, a little bit pulling up with the right, and I want to get to the point where, you know, if I were just to check it, I'm roughly here-ish. Butt of the club's kind of roughly at the ball target line. Left wrist is flat, right wrist is bent back. You know, the other thing, John, I like to look for on video too is just the relationship with the toe and the heel. And as you mentioned, a lot of the people, instead of the hinging, they do the rolling.
Yeah, that's great.
You know, and that toe gets behind the heel. And just really look at it from that perspective, it's easy to see from this angle. Obviously, that club face is wildly open. Yeah. But when you look at it from here, it might not be so obvious. But as we go back, that toe can stay right on top, or even if that toe's, you know, in front of the heel a little bit. I think that's another nice checkpoint.
Yeah, I'd rather almost every person in the world be slightly more face down than face up to this guy right there.
There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it.
No doubt.
The things that promotes going back. So let me hit a couple. Here, I'm going to check this out for a second. And then I just want to kind of talk through some feels and things to expect, and then some you know, potential over-exaggerations people will need to do depending upon where they're coming from, right? So if I'm just kind of getting started here, I've got an 8-iron. This is like my 240 club, John. I'm going to feel push down, pull up. Butt of the club's going to be basically at that ball. I'm just going to have a 3/4 here of the wrist set motion. You know, and as we're going in terms of the wrist setting, there's some things that this should affect. It's a speed producer.
Well, in a way, it's a speed producer, but only because you don't have to. So can you do the wrong one?
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna fan this face open and extend the wrist.
Yep.
Now, so that club face is pointed over your head there. The only way to hit the golf ball, the only solution to this is to come down and snap the wrist past. That's why we flip.
Yep.
Because it's the only way to overcome that horrible backswing.
100%.
So you'll see if you tend to open the face, you're instant more distance. Yeah. But wait, there's more for only $5 more, right? We have our wrist.
Click the link in the description down below. Yeah. Go ahead.
Now we come down in here. Come on down. Oh my goodness! With the club face pre-squared, I'm going to have some forward shaft lean, and that's going to compress the ball and make it rocket itself. Do you know that the golf ball rockets itself off the face?
And that's all as a result of the pieces back there.
Yep.
Let me do one more. I love it, John. So pushing down with the left, pulling up with the right.
Can I say something real quick, though?
You can do whatever you want, John.
People, for goodness sakes, look at the V in Eric's left hand between his thumb and index finger. It goes to his right shoulder.
Best grip you've ever seen, or?
It's
up there?
Mandatory almost.
Okay, thank
now
you.
show me a really weak grip. Now, that's almost like a John Rahm grip.
Yeah.
Now, what John Rahm does is not what you can do. So leave him alone.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have a lot of John Rahm in me, unfortunately.
Yeah, sometimes you don't really want to copy the best, the top 0.00001%.
Yeah.
You don't want to copy those guys.
I'm going to be me for today.
So make sure that this grip stays over this way, because so often they're holding the golf club in a way that they have no chance of playing good golf.
Yeah, one of the big things just on top of that is when we see weak grips, especially when that heel pad gets on the side, the club gets more in the palm.
Yeah.
Just anatomically, it's very difficult to hit any vertical hinging going. Yeah, but you're forced to do a lot of the bowing. That's right. Extremely difficult. So if I'm hinging back, I'm pushing down with the left, and I'm pulling up with the right, butt
That's
of the
a great
club
checkpoint. That's
right there.
beautiful.
And I would just be rehearsing this, right?
Notice the face is a little bit closed.
Yep, toe in front of the heel.
Love it.
And then as I'm hitting, so let me hit one more. And then as we're hitting, you know, the one other little piece I just want to say with this would be the exaggeration. So let me feel, and I personally feel a little bit more, I like a little bit more of the pulling up at the right. But if someone asked, hey, is it correct to feel the left or correct to feel the right? I think we would say either.
Yep, just check it on video.
Oh, say that again, John.
Say, look at it. Your feel sucks.
Check it on video. Gosh. So I would say the only caveat here, because it'd be so beautiful if we could just do videos that were 2 + 2 = 4. Simply do this, right?
Yeah.
But the reality is we're all coming from different places.
Yeah.
And you know, especially probably better than most anyone, like if my normal looks like this, for example, just for me to get to where we want, which is neutral, it likely needs to feel wildly in the opposite direction. Would you agree with that?
So let's do that.
Yeah.
In this case, let's say that you have a persistent
Kind of this look.
screwed up backswing.
Yep, yep.
You might just go this way with your right hand and pull straight up.
Yeah, exactly.
And now that club face, that's Brooks Koepka. We call him Bruce Cupcake.
Bruce
My
Koepka,
house.
he does okay too for
Yep,
himself.
he's doing
yeah,
okay.
Yep.
That's sort of a Brooks Koepka backswing.
And this is what they would need to feel.
Listen.
And we're even saying, like, listen, you might need to feel this,
Yeah.
and when you look on camera, it'll look like this.
Yeah. Right.
And then I think we'd also probably couple that with, if you had to err on either side.
I would
anything.
prefer you aired toward a little bit closed,
Yeah.
because that makes you want to do good things on your downswing.
There's nothing good coming from this.
Nothing good.
So I think that's pretty good in terms of wrist set. You know, the push down with the left, pull up with the right. How do I know if I'm doing it correctly? Those couple checkpoints, kind of 90 degrees-ish. Left wrist goes from, let's say, what I would say 30 degrees from here to flat. So you're a little bit of flattening as you're doing the hinging.
Mm-hmm.
Butt of the club's on the ball, target line. He has a reference point when we're coming down. And then knowing where you're starting from would make it a lot easier to fix it quicker.
Right.
Because you would know how to exaggerate on the other end.
Check the grip first.
And check the grip.
Because if your grip is a mess,
yeah,
you're dead.
we could really start every video with that.
Yeah.
I'm almost like, gosh, we should literally, there should be a 2-minute
I
grip
think
thing.
every video I've done said,
how important
don't
it
make me
is.
talk about grip again.
But we have to.
But I see it every single day. Folks have got the golf club up in their palm,
Yep.
like so, right?
And it jacks everything else up.
You got no hope now.
Yeah,
No hope.
we'll link a grip video so that you and I can sleep well
Yeah.
at night.
Right.
John, wrist set, guys, that's wrist set, kind of 101 do's and don'ts. I think the do's we covered, the don'ts would be all of those bad pieces with it. And then from a practice perspective, check yourself on video against those, utilize those feels. Maybe don't go see John because he's too busy coaching, but you can always check out cogornogolf.com. You see how I just did that little thing
like
there at the
that.
end there? We'll put that card on the screen. Thank you guys for watching.
Thank you.